Hello, this is Brian. I'm down at the packing bench. Right now I'm going to pack a military hat. I tend to sell a lot of hats, especially military hats. Why? Because I source a lot of military hats. Even though guys who might want this hat, they're beginning to grow a bit scarce. This is one of those dual service, both Korea and Vietnam. And of course, my dad was in Korea and I'm in my late 60s. So we're fast running out of the people who might want to celebrate being there and surviving. All right, now, so what about hats? I normally ship them out in a 8 by 6 by 4 size box, and I bag them, especially the dark ones, because they tend to collect dust. Sometimes I'll bag them as soon as I photograph them. Sometimes I'll bag them as I ship them. Now, when I'm getting them in, even if they're unused and were just kept as a collectible, I tend to take a stiff brush like this and I clean the gaps out where the bill touches the cap. I like to get any dust that's settled in there out of there, especially if I'm calling it new old stock. All right, this one, you can tell, has the ribbons, the awards for both Vietnam and Korea. 2 national defenses, 1 United Nations ribbon, and the 3 that are typically seen for Vietnam. This is a dual purpose hat, and I'll show you how I'm going to pack it. The good news is eBay seems to be back to normal. After this weekend's outage, Sunday and Monday, I'm now able to get in and move about the cabin freely inside my eBay accounts, and that's good. I did get a couple comments from viewers about how they were experiencing outages, and they were really beginning to get concerned. Had eBay targeted them specifically, or was it just a general outage? And that's one of the good things about this community on YouTube, this community of resellers. When you're pretty sure it's not your end by doing a little testing, and you haven't run afoul of eBay's policies lately, we all do from time to time, then it's good to log on to YouTube, check and find out if other people are reporting similar outages. Now, I attributed the outage primarily, most likely, to this upload of the postal changes, all those rate changes. That's a big difference. That's a lot of software being manipulated. Something similar happened when they did Ground Advantage. For about a week, the systems were flaky, and I was getting these odd random charges assigned to the new rates. And in the end, I think they gave me some credits back. But you'd run what you expected, you'd see the shipping label, and you'd go, yeah, even with that change, that seems awful expensive. But it's been a long time since Ground Advantage was uploaded. But this also, this 8% increase, which happened to be uploaded on Sunday, could easily have caused this problem. Though I was seeing reports of the interruptions as far away as England. So I'm not quite so sure how much integration there is between the different eBay sites. You know, eBay Canada, eBay Australia, eBay UK. If something cascades over in the US, does it in fact have an effect on the operations and software on the other continents? I don't know. We probably never will, because I've still yet to see anything official from eBay that they even had an outage, let alone what its purpose was. All right, I'm going to stop talking about the outage, and I'm going to flip the camera around, and we're going to take a look at how I pack your average typical hat. Since most of them sell between the $10 to $20 range, yeah, you got to be able to process them efficiently for photographs to get them listed, and I like to do that in a batch method. Take a whole bunch of photos of hats at the same time. I like to use a head mannequin. Then I make a standard template or copy one of my own sell similars, and then I make a fresh batch of drafts and populate the photos in and type the specifics. And when I go to ship them, it's actually the reason I first started ordering the 8 by 6 by 4 boxes out of the eBay shipping supply store with the coupon, was because I was selling a lot of hats. And that was a nice size for most hats that didn't have the big flat brim. See how these are curved? Well, these fit nicely in the box, I'll show you. But if it's the wide flat brim, sometimes you need to step up to a slightly larger box. Had one of those earlier in the week. All right, let's take a look at how this packs out. Now at this price point here, you can see that with that odd number at the end of the number, at the price, I can tell this one went out on an offer recently, something Rose put on sale or sent out on an offer to buyer. When I listed these originally, I had a whole bunch of them, and this is the last of the Korea-Vietnam hats. You can also see that my current price has been $7.79. But with this 8% increase that we're all facing as of the weekend, Rose and I are going to have to sit down at some point this week and go into our shipping policies and make the adjustments because 779, depending on where it's headed to, may not be enough after that huge rate hike. Now this one is a made in USA hat, and I especially favor those as an ex-serviceman myself. It's always struck me as odd if you buy something that celebrates military service, or even an American flag, and then to see that it's made overseas, especially in a country that at one time or another we were opposed to or in direct conflict with. But this one's American made. Normally that can boost up the price a little bit. So the first thing I like to do, especially with the dark hats, is put them in what I call a t-shirt bag. It's thin, it's got some perforated holes. This one has the suffocation warning, though I've never actually seen a requirement for that on eBay like it is on some other platforms. So I will bag this, and then I'll put it in this box I've made up. Again, this is an 8x6x4. And what I normally like to do is put a little bit of void fill in using an air pillow. And then I'll take a piece of cardboard and I'll put it across the top. After I put the hat in and the air pillow in, I'll put this piece of cardboard and I'll tape it to these first two flaps. And I do that so that when someone's slicing the box open, they really can't come in contact with the hat. And even with the extra protection, the bag, the air pillow, your average hat still comes out just under 8 ounces in this box. I've put the hat in the box this direction, put in the air pillow because there's basically half the box has void in it. And then what I'll do is I'll set this cardboard right here. I'll close down this flap. I'll put a piece of tape here. I'll put that scrap cardboard in just like that. And as I say, when somebody starts trying to slice open that center of the box, the hat itself is protected. Now, before I put it in there, as I said, I took that stiff bristle brush. I cleaned up where the bill hits the hat just to make sure there's no dust on it. And I also did around that upper button because those are the areas that a hat tends to collect dust, especially if it's been sitting on a shelf on display for a while. Now, let's go ahead and put her on the scale and I'll show you what I mean. There we go. 6.7 ounces as packed. And that gives me plenty of space, plenty of weight space to finish taping it up and get the label on it and still ship it out under 8 ounces. But moving forward, I'm going to have to watch that 8%. Hats may be one of those things I've got to bump up by just about $1. All right, since this is one of the first items I've shipped out after the big increases, here you can see that eBay has added these green numbers here to tell you how much you're saving. They're probably figuring that off of the counter rate for the post office. But hats go ground advantage, $6.74, and that's still headed to the East Coast to Tennessee. And I charged $7.79, so I've got a little over $1 to cover the eBay fees and the packaging. And I'll have to do a little math to find out under the new fees with the new postal rates whether or not I need to bump that. And since this hat sold in the $10 range, we're thinking that we may have to take items in the $6, $7, $8 range up about 70 cents, and items in the $10 to $15 range will probably have to raise the postal rate at least $1. And now that Rose has finished cutting over all the business policies, shipping policies, this is a much simpler event than it used to be when we had all the individual listings in 3 stores and thousands of changes to make. This should be much easier, but I'll let you know once we've tried it. Now, since I have my own collection of military hats, I'm more familiar with them than some. But interestingly enough, there are certain keywords I use. Right? You want to have authentic hats. Those are the best ones for military service because these days you can have a hat made for any ship that ever existed by simply sending in an order online. But servicemen, if they're looking back at where they did serve, like to have originals. And even if they're used, because out of any big collection I will get, new old stock or purchased and then put away. Sometimes the tags are still on them. And you can look at those tags, and if they came from one of the, for instance, in the case of a sailor, a Navy exchange. The other services, perhaps a PX. So if they've still got those original tags, Regardless of where they were made, you know they were sold inside of a military base, probably to original crew members or to those assigned to particular units in the Army or Air Force or other branches. So if I end up with a used hat and it's clean and in good condition, I will call it crew worn. So if I know the hat came right off of a ship or submarine and belonged to a crew member, that's one of the things I'll say, crew worn. And there are some subtleties. For instance, if you look at Navy hats, you've got different color schemes for officers and enlisted. And those these days with AI are pretty easy to figure out. I also like selling hats from defunct decommissioned ships because those are much harder to come by. You know, somebody wants to think back, they're in their 50s or 60s or 70s, and they want to think back. They may not have worn those hats, you know, in the interim years because, for instance, I grew up as a teenager during the Vietnam War. So I was well aware of the fact that returning servicemen from any branch of service were not necessarily treated well. You know, we're talking about being met at the airport and spit on by civilians, that type of thing. When they did get out of the service or they went out in town, they didn't go in uniform, right? They didn't want to draw attention to themselves. And even in the years I served, when we were traveling abroad, we did not like to wear our uniforms out in town because it drew undue attention. And of course, undue attention can be a bigger problem in the larger political scale of things. Often these hats sat unused. They were owned, but like mine, they're put away, and occasionally from time to time I would get one out. But to wear a hat like that, you've got to invite a conversation about when you served, what you did. And many of us simply avoid that generally, unless it's a particular grouping where you're meeting up with some other people from a similar background. My dad, for instance, Korea War veteran. Well, at least the Korea conflict time frame. He served aboard ship and in places like ADAC as an air traffic controller. You know, so he found himself on like an aircraft carrier controlling aircraft. So I don't believe he was ever on the ground in Korea, but the time frame would say he served during the Korean conflict. I grew up wearing cast-off olive drab clothes because we were the children of military members who were still proud, and there was an abundance of them while the Vietnam War went on. So with each generation, you have a certain amount of that floating around. These days, it's desert boots and tan camo, right? If you and one thing about the military is that every few years, no matter which branch you're in, they change the uniforms. But they will almost always have ball caps, what they call command ball caps. And they're specifically, marked with the name of the ship or station you're actually performing your duty at. So there are an awful lot of them around. And then when you talk about squadron caps, they'll actually have them made. And they'll be made in a limited number to just outfit the number of people that are serving in that squadron at a given time. So for instance, if the carrier pulled into Hong Kong, they'd get a tailor or embroidery down on one of the streets where they did clothing, and they might crank out 20 hats, 50 hats, 100 custom hats. And those are some of the most highly sought after. And when I find them, I do more research. I do more research for them than I do a common hat that might be USMC, stamped out by the thousands and provided to the servicemen from the Navy Exchange. All right, that's my comment on hats. Hats are probably one of the things that I should do a deep dive in because they're fairly commonly sold on the secondary market. New old stock, used, and some antique and vintage. So we've been taking a detailed look at shipping out the first item after the 8% hike, and the first item after eBay seems to have resolved its issue this weekend. Hats. I sell a lot of them. But you've got to have that process down so that they're not taking a lot of time because individually they don't bring a lot of profit. Maybe 10, maybe 15. Occasionally with a super expensive hat, they do very well. Some of the old John Deeres and such. But I tend to buy hats from auction collections at estate auctions. And if it's a serviceman like this one was, I can get 10, 20, 30 hats or more collectively at the same time. But when you're talking about that many hats on a particular theme, often many have never been worn. They were simply associated with something the individual was interested in. Could be antique automobiles, could be fishing, could be the military service they were in, such as this one. But they tend to simply collect them. Some of them they wear, sometimes they have an extra. I know as I left each of my own military commands as a serviceman, I would buy a fresh brand new hat to take with me over the brow or down the stairs on my way to my next command. And I did that simply to have a fresh, clean one. Most of those I never wore, so they're in the house in my collection. Could be from a submarine, could be from a ship, could be from a shore station in the case of a sailor, could be from any of the other services, armed forces. And sometimes you get specialty hats, like from my time in the Gulf, you might get one that was specific to an event or an evolution. I've also got a big collection of hats from companies that produced construction equipment. Heavy equipment companies like Case, tool companies often given to me when I would attend a vendor event, where they'd want to sell me drywall tools or they'd want to sell me new air tools. They'd be handing out hats. And most of those I never wore. So a guy like me tends to collect hats. Well, when a guy like me passes on or gets moved into assisted living, all those hats have to go somewhere. And if they're old enough and popular enough, they can have good money. Check the hat bands themselves. We'll look at this one because, this one's a Velcro. This one's a hook and loop. Don't use Velcro. Hook and loop. But often if it's the plastic adjustable one, what they call the snapback, because you're snapping in the measurements for adjustment, many of the snap ones have the brand. And of course, if you find those hats that were made in the USA, like that one I just had, a little more value. There are a couple of good hat manufacturers from the East Coast, vintage hats, that were in Louisville, as I recall. So when you find those, really check their value. Some of them are valuable enough you can still sell the hat because they will open the stitching and they will put in a new plastic adjustment, right? And I've even offered that sometimes. If I have a vintage hat, good money, maybe from an agricultural brand, and the hat is just destroyed, I will cut off that snapback band and I will send it along with another hat that has a good decal, a good embroidery, and a good logo, and it's a great hat. Hat's in condition, but from age, that snapback is broken. Well, I'll send along a replacement and a hat, and I'll say so in the description. So you can sell hats in almost any condition if they're the right product. I've sold some old military hats from the 50s, from like aviation squadrons related to aircraft carriers, and I tell you frankly, there wasn't much left to them. You certainly wouldn't be able to wear them, but those were some of the best hats as far as resale value that I've ever achieved. All right, we've been taking a look at hats. I appreciate you spending time here. And if you watch up in the corner, another video will pop up if you've got the time to watch it. I'll try to recommend one that's closely associated, perhaps some other military themes. But I'm glad to see eBay's back online. Keep those comments coming. This is Brian, down at the packing bench.